boy, Brian. Look at the progress my slaves have made. You guys are awesome. I will slave back for you. I will make wonderful things with your bounty you are creating.
Oh, okay.
This was a tree that my dad bought for my sister when she had one of her babies. So this is actually a Costco tree of many colors. And look, they picked some really great grafts. Look at what happened. Awesome stuff. Look at the size of these teeny tiny cherries. These great big cherries, so you know, and the taste will probably show us. Smile, Brian. Say hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Another slave by default. So what kind of wonderful thing am I going to pay you for to make? You know, tonight is Canada Day, so we're going to be doing some Canada Day treats. Today is the 1st.
Oh, June doesn't have 31
July.
days.
No, it doesn't. It is the 1st of July. Happy Canada Day, my little Canadian. My Canadian. My little American. Oh, there's a dark Bing too. This tree has lots of different grafts on it, which is super awesome. And apparently the whole thing was loaded. Just
Like
loaded.
cherries.
Yeah, some Bings in there. Some, it depends on the branch. Look at that. I'm making me some maraschino cherries. Okay, so I'm going to make maraschino cherries today. We have pitted our cherries, and this is based on the recipe out of Oregon and university there that originally created these wonderful treats. It will reseal, and it's always full. So I'm going to just do the measured recipe today just to make it easier for everyone. I will put a link to the original recipe that I used. It was a laboratory. I used to illustrate the chemistry of creation of maraschino cherries. Now, this initial part of the procedure is essential to the composition of the texture of our maraschino cherries. So we want a level tablespoon. So a heap of love. We're starting with 2 quarts of water, and we're going to use 2 tablespoons of sodium metabisulfite. Now, if you're allergic to sulfite, then this particular salt isn't one that you're going to want to use. And maybe you just don't stay away from maraschino cherries because these are amazing, I'm just saying. Now, once that is dissolved, we're going to add a spoonful of affection in the form of citric acid. And this helps to keep our neck completely flat. These are so cute. I'm going to add citric acid. All those reactions going on. Pretty cool. Now that those are completely dissolved, and we'll just let them make sure that there's nothing. I see nothing in solution below. We're going to add the last ingredient of our primary brine, which we'll use throughout the whole procedure. Calcium chloride. Calcium chloride. Now this is used a lot in brewmasters, and it is used in the wine industry and the beer industry. It is going to help us to give our product a wonderful texture as well, as brines are often designed to do. Now my maraschino cherries are going to stay in this brine, and I'll show you making these for my sisters and myself. One. that magic? The magic of chemistry. I love it. And here's the second one. 2. Just make sure that's all completely done. I bought a lot of this because I use it for other things. Okay. So the next step is adding the brine to our cherries. So I've got a quart of cherries here. I'm ready to go. And we're just going to ladle this carefully into our jar so it's completely submerged. And so we're able to do a proper ferment. Or, it's not really a ferment, it's more of a bleaching process, which allows it to change color and texture. So we can make these red cherries, we can make them red, we can make them yellow, we can make them green, we can make them almond flavored, because the flavor is going to be bleached out too. Like everything about these cherries is going to change. What I like to do is, of course, make them cherry. And I like to make them cherry naturally by using a sweet cherry concentrate mixed with an 8-ounce bottle of sour or tart cherry concentrate, which you can get at most health food stores. So I filled this really, really high. And we're going to fill it right up to the top. And then I'm going to put a lid on it so it all gets held down. Okay, so there's one. And that's just the amount that I'm going to use for me. This is for one of my sisters, and she'll have a jar. She'll probably make more than this. But I thought I'd get her started in the chemical process. Now you want to do this in a well-ventilated area. It's quite pungent. So we're going to set that aside. See how all the cherries are under for the most part. And then the last bowl for my cherry omelet. And pour the rest of it over these cherries and find a suitable cover for that, and maybe weigh it down with a plate. All right, so that's the first step. Do this and then leave them alone for 3 weeks. I'll bring you back when they change color. All right, guys, so I've got a couple of things going on here. First, I want to show you how to make your own blackberry syrup. Now, what I've got in here is about 4 cups of blackberries and 3 cups of sugar, and I boiled it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the seeds off and put them in one container, and all the syrup and put it. So we're going to start by doing this. Now these are wild blackberries, and I'm going to be making soap with the seeds. And you can use the syrup for your pancakes, or you can add it to soda water. It's very concentrated. It's great stuff. Get as much of the fruit juice out of these as we can. And I've already squished them. I have squished them a lot. But there's still a lot of fruit in there. So what I'm going to do with this batch of syrup, or at least half of it, I'm going to use it to flavor some of my brined cherries. So I'm going to try some flavored cherries this year. Let me get this. I have a bigger strainer. I just just don't have access to it right now. So this is going to be a slow process where I chat you up and we talk about whatever happens to be on my mind, if you're up for it. May end up even doing a quickie version if I ramble on too much. But anyway, you can use the seeds and other things too. I might dry some of them and put them into scrubs. I think I'll have more here than what I'll be making with soap, so that's kind of cool. Trying really careful not to make a big mess, but also not to get the seeds in the syrup because cherries don't have, obviously, seeds that are tiny. And we want this to be a wonderfully flavored treat. Get as much of that out as I can. Now, making jams and jellies this way is a lot like making medlar fruit extraction. So if you don't mind this process, then you might want to plant a medlar tree too. But I generally just make jam because I like the seeds, but I don't have any dental issues. My grandmother had dentures from the time she was 25. So she routinely would make jellies or fruits with the seeds out. So when she would make her freezer raspberry jam, it would not have seeds in it. And she was much happier with that because the flavor of berries is fantastic, but apparently it's very painful to get a little seed under your dentures. So if you're sensitive and you still love jams and jellies, I would suggest that you try this method or even one that's a little more effective. It's a bigger strainer, a bigger bowl, and I think there are even equipment out there that will allow you to take out the seeds easier for jellies and things. If anybody knows what they're called, I'd love a link. And I don't mean jelly bags because I know what a jelly bag is and I have those. I'm just being, I just don't know where I put them. It's another reason I don't have a jelly bag here because you can very easily do the same thing with a jelly bag. So as soon as this is full, I have enough for the project. The project we're going to be working on this week, or the Maraschino Cherry project. I'm not sure when I'll be showing this. If I'm doing it the Maraschino Cherry, hopefully I'll be able to work it into the main video. But this, you can use any kind of fruit that you want to. You can make cherries that taste like pineapples. You can make cherries that taste like cherries. Like my favorite, of course, is mixing sweet and sour cherry juice concentrate because it's so readily available here in North America. You can go to any health food store and get those cherry concentrates. So all of this work has been done for you. You don't have to, go pick berries or whatever. You can buy some things like this in the store. I don't know if you can get blackberry, but I did, as you recall, if you watched the Saanich Fair video, I did manage to find someone who makes a currant syrup concentrate. So we will be making some of the cherries with currant. So I will be making several different types of maraschino cherries this year because I've done this so many times and I didn't realize until I read the experiment through to the end that you can just, once you've finished the brining process, you can store them in there until you're ready to work with them. It's actually a preservative. And this, I think, will be the last one that I show you. And then we will take half of those cherries. Actually, we'll use all those cherries and make them blackberry. Then I might add some more flavors to it as well. I might actually add something more. We will taste it as we go along. I do have to add water to this because if I don't, this has a high sugar ratio. If I don't, like I showed you in the video with the 2 types of cherries, I could practically do a jam with that and just use it for jam. Yum! I might actually do that. That's like a blackberry butter. Anyway, if you use too strong of a sugar, look at my hands are covered in sugar now. Sugar ratio, you will cause these nice skins to split. And if you don't want split, ugly maraschino cherries, then you have to slowly increase the sugar ratio. Okay, so we'll add a little more sugar each day until we have the concentration and the finished product exactly the way we want it. And I like a very sweet cherry, so I'm going to be, just maximizing it till it's glacé. So it's got a thick syrup, and the cherry itself is nice and thick. So let's go to the next step. I'm just going to put a lid on this and finish that up, and we'll come back to the next step after you've had 6 weeks in the brine minimum. Alrighty, so the next step is to drain the cherries. So I'm just going to keep that brine, reserve the brine. And if you don't use all your cherries, then you can use this to store them, apparently, according to the main recipe, until you know what you're going to do with them. So that's a preservative. I'm going to try, actually, to use the brine again. So I'm going to get some more cherries and see what happens. I don't know if it'll work, but if it's as stable as they are implying, perhaps it's reusable. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not making these commercially. I'm just making them for me. So we're going to fill this up with water, and we're going to bring it to a boil to rinse them. Look at how plump and beautiful those are. This is awesome. We're going to boil out all those salts or brine that bleached these cherries, and these are from my sisters. Hopefully I'll have lots of videos that you can see. You can watch down here all the exciting picking the cherries and all of that, to make this video a little more exciting, because it's basically watching water boil. Okay, so we're going to put this on high, bring it to a boil, and then drain it. And then I have some light sugar syrup with my blackberry concentrate in there. I will add more blackberry juice as time goes on, and maybe even some other flavorings. We'll see. Yeah, maybe taking a lot of ums out of this video. All right, so let's watch some water boil. It's easier than pushing the pause button. Hope I'm recording. Apparently, yes. Hope so. I've got enough cherries to do it again, but it's very interesting what happened over there. So I may have to add more water. We'll see. But this brine, I'm going to mark it. I'm going to mark this brine and set it aside so it doesn't get used for anything. I did some experimentation because, that's what I do. And it was a mix. I had mixed results. So these were frozen cherries. Not as pretty as the fresh. And I tried some Bing cherries that were frozen. And they didn't bleach very well. Here they are. So if you don't have Fresh cherries, you're not going to have as pretty of a product. So I'm just showing you that here. But I'm going to go ahead and make these anyway. I wanted to see if you could substitute frozen cherries. It's not a great substitution. I mean, look at the difference. Just pull one of these out before it starts to boil. And one of these. So one, it didn't bleach as thoroughly, so we're not going to get the same color absorption. And two, it's a little squishy. This one is very firm. Different. Very, very different. I might have wasted a lot. So there's a success and a fail all in one. But if you don't try, you never know, because it's a lot easier to just buy your cherries frozen than it is to have a cherry tree and pick them and do all the work necessary. But it's definitely a night and day difference. So these are going to have no flavor, none, until we add the flavor in the form of different juices, flavorings, extracts, and sugars. Not quite tall enough. I hope it's recording. All right, so we are bringing it to a boil, again with the blackberry juice concentrate. And that had quite a bit more sugar. So we're just going to bring it to a boil. And we're going to leave it. And if I don't get the color I like, I will add some colorant because I like dark red. So that's where we are with this. We've got another batch on the go over here as well. These are the ones that didn't turn out quite as plump and nice. But before these decide to boil over, I get my attention back on them and just set them aside. Okay. All right, so we are doing day 3 of the cherries, and I've had a little bit of splitting, so I've reduced. I haven't increased the sugar today. We're just going to bring it to a boil. I did, however, add some cherry flavor because it was not looking cherryish. I might add some blue to make them bluer. We'll see. But now it has a flavor that's just yummy. You can still taste the blackberry, but it's also got the cherry too. So this is kind of a cherry blackberry. We'll see how it goes. Blackberry cherry. Now let me show you one of the others that I'm just starting. Now these were the Bing cherries, and they again were frozen. They didn't fare as well. The frozen berries aren't as good. We're also going to bring that to a boil with some sugar. And also I'm going to add some of this to this batch. Just enough to get its color back. It didn't actually bleach properly, so I don't know what kind of color we're going to get. I know I can't make this a different color other than the cherry color that it is originally. So that's what we're going to work with this one. And I'm also going to add today some actual cherry concentrate. So you can go to your health food store and get pure black cherry concentrate. And I'm going to add half of this bottle. That's going to work. Let's taste it. See if it has more of an authentic. Oh yeah. That tastes more like black cherry. Very good. So we're going to bring this to a boil. We're going to bring that to a boil. And then here I have to do some more dividing. So at this point, I'm not sure. I've kind of got more cherries than I anticipated. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I want to do at least one that's different, and then the bulk will be my favorite, which is combining the black cherry with the sour cherry, adding almond and adding the concentrate. But I think I want to do one that's an unusual flavor. Now, the unusual flavor that I'm interested in creating with is called pandan. Let's see if I can find it. It should be right here. Of course, I can't find it. So this is a green, dark green color, which I thought would be nice for the holidays. So I'm going to make some green cherries and some red cherries. And I have the most beautiful banana extract. I'm going to take probably 2 cups and do a banana extract. So I'll show you how I'm going to do those right now. And I'm just going to do it this way. So I'm going to do, I'm just going to take some of my cherries out. So I'm going to take a cup of cherries and then 2 cups of cherries. Because I know the pandan's really, really good. Well, a cup and a half and a cup. So I need that mini red at least. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move these around, is I'm going to show you. I've already started flavoring these. And we've done the one, I'm going to have to make some more simple syrup. We're going to start. I don't have everything set aside. Sorry, guys. When you switch things up sometimes, run into things that you hadn't anticipated. So you want your cherries to be covered, okay? Now I'm going to add 1/2 cup of sugar to each of those. Or really 1/4 cup of sugar, because we're not working with as big of a quantity. And I'll be adding sugar and then corn syrup to these later. But I thought this one has the color, and it takes so long to get the color going that I thought I would get it started. And this stuff smells amazing. So we're going to put a good portion in there. And my greens. Oh, it's the wrong one. We need to move some over. I got them backwards. These are going to be the green ones. Maybe. I hope. Give it another. The flavor is intense and wonderful. So I hope this works. I'm going to use the whole bottle. Well, I'll use the rest of it for another project. I'm going to have green fingers. So this is very Halloween-y. I really hope this is recording. Half the time when I do fun, cool stuff like this, it doesn't record. that comes to a boil, I'm going to bring that one to a boil separately. And then I'm going to bring this one to a boil. And somehow I got to get that more yellow. But I'm going to go ahead and start adding my banana flavor. Now this stuff is really powerful. This is like almond extract, so I'm only going to use a little. Woo! My whole kitchen smells like bananas now. I should do a soap project with that stuff. It is stronger than any fragrance oil I have ever come across. This stuff is awesome. That's what you do when you run out of pots. Sorry, guys. I know. I'm going to find some either yellow or orange and add it to it. So we've got, if I can keep track of this, we've got pandan, banana, blackberry cherry, dark cherry, and then we're going to do my favorite blend, which I always make, which is a blend of artificial cherry. We're going to put some almond in here. Pure black cherry. And I'm going to get the sour cherry too. So the tart cherry. So my sisters, I hope you're watching, paying attention. That was about 4 ounces, 8 ounces of black cherry, and we're going to go 4 ounces of tart cherry. And where's my almond extract? I am on the hunt for pure almond extract. I've been having a heck of a time. Ooh, I found blackberry. Covered in a whole bunch of other flavors. That's what happened. We have a whole bunch of different flavors. Okay, we're going to cut that. This is as pretty as I can make it. And we're going to put some blackberry flavoring in this one. That's going to give it an extra boost. Now I'll be able to tell the difference. Taste the flavor. Oh, yeah. Mmm. Ooh, baby, baby. That is so good. So we got 6 pots on the boil. Well, 5 pots on the boil. Actually 6, but it's another project. And I'm going to leave you at that. So just bring these to a boil each day. And then add a little bit more sugar so that you get that thick syrup that you're going to want. Not a lot, probably 10%. Just watch your berries. As long as your berries are staying nice and plump and your skins aren't cracking, then don't worry about it. If you start getting like skins like that, slow down, back off. Give it time to catch up with the threshold, the sugar threshold. It takes a while to glacé things. All right, and they won't look like this the whole time. That's really hot. They will take on the color, just like I showed you. And at the end, I will show you again, and we will eat ice cream again. All right, so if you enjoyed this, we'll come back to the next step. I'll do this for a couple more days just so you can see what frozen berries versus fresh berries versus Bing cherries versus sour cherries turn out like. All right? Okay, bye for now. All right, this morning we are bringing everything to a boil once again, and we are adding sugar each of these. This one doesn't need it. These guys are doing fine. And as you can see, some of the frozen berries are actually doing fairly good. They're plumping back up. They're not continuing to flatten like you'll see in the straight up canned version of Maraschino Cherries. It's all over the market. Oh, I guess I should probably turn this one on, huh? It's not going to come to a boil. And the berries are starting to take on the color, as you can see over here. Now that this has come to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Everything else has sugar. So we're just going to stir it and have a look at it. And see how the berries are doing. These ones are starting to turn green, so we'll be ready for Christmas holiday treats. The reason I'm stirring is because there is granular sugar in there and we want it to dissolve completely. Back here are my cherries that I picked, which of course are remaining plump and beautiful. Now remember to cover your cherries in between bringing it to a boil, because when you cook, you can flick stuff into it, as obviously I've done. They don't look too bad. Check that out. So there's one that's from a frozen berry. Now let's check out the bings. The bings are starting to plump up a little bit too. We'll see as the sugar goes in if it gives us that nice texture that traditional maraschino cherries that you buy in the store have or not. I know these do. It actually is a better texture. It's kind of chewy and yummy. I'll do a taste test. This won't be thin when I'm done. It'll actually be nice and thick. Now that jar of syrup that I had, it went back into the red cherries. So hopefully all will go well. We got another one starting to come to a boil back here. So yeah, we're making maraschino cherries. Now, as soon as you've managed to get approximately what would which would be the equivalent of a heavy syrup into your cherries, and it starts to thicken, and I'll show you what that looks like, then it's time to can them up. All right, so it depends on your quantity. I didn't really measure it out and give a quantity. We just picked until we couldn't pick anymore, and then I stoned them, and then we're working with about a gallon here. Okay. All right, so we have all of them heating up again. Just make sure you keep the level of water covering the berries, or they'll start to dry out, and continue to add sugar until it's taste the cherries as you go along. This is the fun part. Each of these has a different volume. My total volumes will be about a gallon at the end of it all. So if your berries start to split, you've added the sugar too quickly. So keep an eye on the plumpness of your berries. It's kind of exciting because the greens are turning green. They already looked like this before. The fresh berries are looking beautifully plump and gorgeous. The Bing cherries are getting darker. Let me just pull one out for you. Maybe find a nice plump Bing. And they're actually getting back some of their plumpness, which is kind of cool. Those were just frozen and allowed to thaw out. These were just frozen, so they're okay. They'll be a dark red by the time I'm done, because that's how I like mine. And these, I think I'm going to let them either get, these are the banana ones. I'm going to either let them get orange, or I think I'm going to add a little more yellow to brighten this orange up. So I bring them all to a boil, and then I turn them off and leave them until I have some time to do that again. And this is repeated over the course of probably a whole week. So once or twice a day I will do this. There's some light. And hopefully by the end of it all we'll have some beautiful, delicious cherries, maraschino style. Hi, rah, Kiki. Welcome to my soapy kitchen. I'm going to show you how I set up and store from doing several different kinds of maraschino cherries. So I am using just covers and bowls. There's my greens. There's my reds. I might even add currant, but I kind of want to keep the blackberry out there. This is the banana. And then in the corner here is this sweet red cherry made with beans. All right. Now I'm just going to turn on high, do a little cleaning in my kitchen, put it to the music, and don't leave these guys. Do not leave them. And as soon as you are finished bringing them to a boil, make sure they're all covered, at least like this one. This one needs a little more liquid. This one needs a little more liquid here. I'm also going to add sugar. So I might add the sugar first to see if that gives us enough volume. I consider sugar a liquid. Of course, we've got plenty in this one. I can always take from here, rob from Peter to Paul, because they have similar flavors. I can't go this way, but I can certainly go this way. And I can go this way. I mean, I've got lots of fluid, lots of liquid in there. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring up the sugar concentration and get that to permeate the cell walls of our cherries instead of having them squish flat, but without bursting their skin. So I'll show you what they look like. They've been sitting overnight. This is like day 5, maybe 6. And they went from being yellow to nice and beautiful. Now, if you have a cherry tree, this is what, if you do them fresh, the day you picked them, that's what they're going to look like. All right. Now, if you don't have a cherry tree, there's a bing there, then you can get frozen cherries, and that's what they'll look like. They'll be a little bit wrinkly, but they'll still be far more delicious than, anything that you buy in the store, bar none. This is what the bings are looking like. They're looking a little wrinkly, but not too bad. The texture is getting there. It's getting to that chewy texture instead of that break it texture. I'm going to add a little yellow to that one soon. And of course my greens are now no longer that ugly color, but they're a nice green. These are a little bit puckered looking. Let's see if they're like that all over. See, this is what you got some broken ones there. The reason they need to stay completely immersed is so that they suck in all of that goodness. And that's our pandan flavored ones. Kiki's just going to talk for you this whole time. So I'm going to fire them all up. And then I'll switch with one of these, the first one that comes to a boil with this one, so that it can get a boil in too. All right. So there we go. That's how I do it each and every day. Now I'm going to add some sugar. Let's see, who needs sugar? This one's getting nice and thick. Let me just taste it. I don't think I'm going to make that one any thicker. I think that's perfect. Yeah. I think this one's just about ready to bottle. It's gorgeous. And this one I'm not actually going to be... so it's time to go get some jars. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I've got my new cherries. I want to make sure these are all for me, guys. I guess I should use a different spoon if I'm going to be licking them and tasting them. When these are the green color that I want them to be and the texture that I want them to be, this is still quite thin. I need to put more sugar in that one. And I'm going to add corn syrup to this one because I like the flavor of corn syrup. I am a corn girl. I love corn. There's a lot of different different. I'm going to use the golden corn syrup. It's kind of the last thing I do. Just make it just a little thicker. Let's give all of them just a bit of that. And of course, I'm burning my stuff on the stove. So give us the liquid we're looking for. That last little bit of zhuzh that I want. Let me just get a cloth and clean that off before I like the smell of burnt sugar. Of course, my stove doesn't like it so much. Let's ladle these in. I'm going to start with the biggest amount, and I'll probably fill it with cherries first and then liquid. Now the size of jar I'm using this year is a medium small. I guess you could say a half pint. If I'm going to be making these for gifts, I usually put them in a quarter pint. So as soon as the cherries are there, I don't want to pack them in tight. I'm going to fill them with liquid to about a ½ inch below the rim, right at that line. And if I've got cherries peeking out, well, we'll pull them off because we've got too many. We got a few too many in there because I want them to continue to soak up all that awesome sugar. Okay. Now don't forget to wipe your rims before you start to process them in a hot water bath. Bring it to a boil and boil it for 20 minutes. If it's longer than that, I don't know. I just, that's what I've always done with my fruit. Now, there are people who like these to be spiked. Feel free to add brandy or what other kind of spirits. Maybe some actual maraschino liqueur. Make an adult version of this. But as I have many children and we don't drink alcohol as a beverage, and I would hate to have to wait for a cold to have a maraschino cherry. Medicinally, we leave it out. You can, however, and I might actually add some rum flavoring, rum extract, if I want like that cherries and rum flavor. Maybe I'll do that with half of these. Spike a few with rum flavoring. I don't know, we'll see. Make a 6th flavor. Definitely want a lot of them just this way because it's absolutely incredible. Now, a couple of them, the banana and the Bing cherries, I ran out of sugar one day and I couldn't wait for white sugar, and I used a ½ bar. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. Of brown sugar in them, so that will actually make my cherries here and here have a bit of a caramel flavor, which will be fine. It's quite lovely. It was not exactly what I was going for, but I like it. I like it a lot, and it definitely changes it. The slightest things you do will change it. So how is your fall turning out, people? We're just starting to enjoy the fruits of our labor all summer long here as we process our fruits. I hope you get the chance to try processing fruit. I grew up with home canned peaches and pears and apples and all manner of condiments. And to this day, I can't really enjoy canned fruit unless it's been home canned. Not the one brand that's come close to being enjoyable are the extra cherry varieties, but even those don't come close to even my mother's apricots with maraschino cherries and pineapple. I mean, you can't even buy that kind of stuff. So it is becoming a lost art. I hope that if you do know how to can, that you teach your children, if you have children, or pass on that legacy to someone younger than yourself, because it's a beautiful thing. Sharing our heritage, sharing our skills does become a thing of legacy.